Yeah. Happy Wednesday, wine lovers.
Happy Wine Wednesday, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country, welcome. We have another very exciting show. It is Rust Wine Co. Week. We're talking Syrah. We're talking big and bold wine from South Okanangan and Similkameen. We're talking about terroir definition. We are talking about an incredible collector pack that we have this week. So exciting, thrilled, privilege. I mean, like, there's a lot of things I'm talking about. I feel like when I we go about this week offer, so a very special offer that we have, and we're gonna have Ryan de Witte, winemaker at Ross, who's gonna join us in a couple minute time. I mean, yeah, really exciting. Some wines that most of these wines that we have this week in our glass are not available anywhere. They are sold out, and they were saved in the corner of the warehouse exclusively for us at Carl's Wine Club. And today's the day that we're sharing the love. So yeah, this is really exciting. I'm a little cricket here. It drives me nuts. Okay, I'm fine now. So yeah, and I want to say hi to all of our people in Instagram as well. We're broadcasting live on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn. So everyone across the platform, doesn't matter where you're following us, thank you. And we're going to have a great evening talking about terroir Syrahs, single vineyard Syrahs from different sub-appellation, which delivers completely different outcomes in your glass. So it's going to be a fun one. Mira, how are you doing?
Great. I have a bunch of Syrahs in front of me, so how can I not be happy? Like, it's fantastic.
I mean, cheers. This is day 7 of these wines. Day 7.
We opened them, literally pop and poured last Wine Wednesday. And they were amazing then. And then we've been tasting them every day for a week, literally. So I can't wait to chat with Ryan de Witte, who is the winemaker. And it's pretty cool. So Leaning Post and Mount Boucherie both have ties to this winery through Ryan, the winemaker, because before he was at Rust, I do believe he was assistant winemaker with Ilya Senchuk at Leaning Post.
Absolutely. And he got brought over by one of his mentors, Jeff Undermark at Mount Boucherie. So you know what? 2 of the winemakers that we're going to have sitting on the same panel on June 15 at Esther Creek.
Yes.
Are the tying connection with Ryan de Witte. So pretty cool. It was pretty darn cool, I'll tell you. So yeah, so I mean,
should we bring Ryan in because he is here?
That is, I mean, hey, if we have him here, why should we make him wait, right?
Fantastic. Ryan, here we go. Nice to see you. Hey.
Hi, here's the man. The coolest mustache of the Okanagan. Here is the. I love it. I freaking love it, Ryan.
I have to apologize for it. It's Jeff and I are actually doing a dinner tomorrow at the Modest Butcher, and I have to dress up like a millennial or like a more hipster person, probably than I actually am. So I've got this going on, and we'll just kind of,
That's awesome. So you've been preparing for this dinner for quite some time. Very thoughtful.
Is it the fight of the winemaker or something like that? Yeah, that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, Battle of the Winemakers. So we have Boucherie wine and a Rust wine with every course that the Modest Butcher chef has prepared. And there's ballots, and we'll have a bit of fun. We'll see how many people actually vote for Jeff or not. So,
you know what? I have to say, Emily did a pretty great job with the social media and the whole pictures around and the whole 9 yards. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's done awesome. Like I think we have like 26 tickets sold, so it's actually like pretty widely available there. It's pretty awesome. Lots of people want to do it.
That's gonna be a great night at Mall Boucherie. So at Modest Butcher at Boucherie tomorrow night. And is there any more ticket available?
Today's the cutoff. So,
today's the cutoff.
Yeah. So if they aren't bought today, then that's it. Just so that the
chef can prepare.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, let's jump right away. And first and foremost, Ryan, if you give me 1 second, I'm just going to give a quick introduction in French to our people in Quebec and in the Francophone province. And I'll be right back with you. So, un beau bonjour à tout le monde ce soir en français, à tous nos amis de la belle province de Québec, les amateurs de vins canadiens de toutes les régions francophones du pays. Bonsoir, c'est Wine Wednesday ce soir. On reçoit Ryan de Witte, qui est winemaker à Rust. Rust, qui est un petit producteur du sud de la vallée d'Okanagan, qui focus sur des vins de terroir, des vins principalement de Syrah, avec quatre sélections parcellaires de la même année, avec le même style de winemaking. Donc, c'est ça qu'on feature cette semaine à Carl's Wine Club. Donc, on va parler de ça avec Ryan. Qu'est-ce qui fait que la Syrah du sud de l'Okanagan est si reconnue et pourquoi? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce qui va se passer après les froids qu'on a vécus dans les dernières semaines? Donc, un beau bonjour à tout le monde. Un gros merci d'être avec nous. And we're back here with Ryan. Ryan, thanks for joining me tonight. It's pretty exciting because what's in our glass here, I mean, this is pretty darn unique. Mm-hmm. And just so you know, we popped these wines last week at the very same time. So we're day number 7. These wines are still showing fantastic.
Yeah.
So, awesome. I mean, it tells a lot on the structure and on the ageability of these wines moving forward.
Yeah, and they aren't filtered either. So you don't get the, I find that unfiltered wines generally have more legs. So you have that longevity in the bottle, in the glass, and then, long-term, we're trying to do a few different things. Chardonnay coming out. I believe it was an option on this club, and it's a black Chardonnay. So we basically like pre-oxidize the juice, so it turns the color of Coca-Cola, and then you ferment it, and all that dark color goes away. But we've pre-oxidized the juice. So in the glass, like we had a bottle open for 3 weeks in the cellar, and it tastes the same every single day. It just won't oxidize. It doesn't go bad.
There's one problem with Chardonnay in our house, though. We don't have the leg room for 3 weeks around here.
Yeah, we left it in the cellar.
Okay, let's backtrack. Let's start from the very beginning. Okay, so Rust Wine Company, it's a sister winery from Mount Boucherie, a bigger producer located on the West Kelowna Wine Trail. But you guys, Rust, I will let you introduce the brand because you guys are located in Oliver on the Golden Mile, and you are focusing on single varietal, single vineyard wine. So, So when did the adventure at Rust started, and when did you join the show?
So the Rust adventure really started in 2016 when our current owner bought the winery. And then 3 years later, I came on in 2019. So 2019 was my first vintage. And that was, it was really lucky. I was given carte blanche, so I could decide what to do with the wines, how to make them differently, how to really drill into the terroir. The real issue starting was, the idea was that we were going to make all these wines identically, that they were going to be produced in the same way so that the site would really show up. But I've found, over the years now, that really what happens is that was a great way to start. And now we're just kind of turning the dial a little bit. We're kind of seeing, okay, let's try this one thing, let's try this other, see how it works. We'll do some whole cluster here, a little bit of French oak, a little bit of Hungarian. How does that come out? It's still a trial and error process, and a really like a process of refinement. So hopefully, as the wines, as the different releases coming out, you're going to see a little bit of development. The style should stay the same. I always want the wines to be, medium-ish body. I don't think you want Syrah to be huge and overwhelming. I think it plays better to go more towards its aromatic qualities. It's a very aromatic grape, and then we're just losing that entirely. So that's been a bit of a thing to start with, and then learning the places better is the most fun thing you can do. It's seeing how they turn out and fiddling with it, having fun.
So before we talk about where these wines come from specifically, let's talk about you, because we have a lot of members in Ontario. We're doing a lot of stuff, and we have, I think pretty much everyone who are listening to us right now, our crew from Ontario, they all know your alma mater. They all know where you. So tell us a little bit about your background. You were Ilya Senchuk, right-hand guy at Leading Post for a while. So you're from? Did you do your school at at Niagara College at Brock? So what was your background?
Yeah. So I did do my school at Niagara College. I lived in Edmonton for a while, and
why?
I loved it.
I'm just joking. 17 years in Calgary. I spent 7 so.
Yeah. So I get the rivalry. We just never ended up going to Calgary. It wasn't on our radar. But yeah, went to Edmonton, lived in Edmonton for a while, studied some. I took the Wine and Spirits Education Trust Level 2 when I was there, so to get a little bit of an idea about whether or not I should be making wine. I just said to my wife, I want to go back to school and I want to study winemaking. And my wife says to me, well, you're not doing that unless you can prove to me basically that, you're good at it, or at least your passion is going to stick around. Otherwise, it doesn't seem so worth it. So I said, yes, dear. And so I took that class. I remember specifically the question I got wrong on the final exam, which I won't talk about. And, but I got everything else correct, and it went really well. So I applied to go to Niagara College. I had just finished. I talked to Brock University. I talked to Lincoln University in New Zealand as well. And they were all, really encouraging. And I was really looking forward to studying there. But I had just finished off paying my university level debt from my previous degree. So I wasn't real interested in getting involved in that kind of financial investment again. So
fair enough.
Yeah. So college is cheaper. So I went to college, did well there. I had one of the Leaning Post wines at Treadwell, a restaurant. Then it was in St. Catharines, right by the water, beautiful place. And I loved it. It was 2009 Pinot Noir, one of Ilya's wines, and I was like, man, this is amazing. So I just bothered him for probably 2 years to give me work. And then I started filling in the tasting room if they went on vacation. Ilya and Nadia didn't really have the money to pay somebody to do that for them. So I just took wine as payment and just bothered them. And then I went to New Zealand, to Central Otago to do a harvest there. And then after I came back, shortly after, they were like, Ryan, we have a job for you full time. We'd love it if you could do it. And I said, awesome. And so I was with them for 5 years, probably between on and off, almost 7 years.
Awesome. Okay, so you said 2009 Pinot Noir was one of the wine from Leaning Post. You have to help me here because Mark Nadeau at l'Académie du Vin in Toronto, we're doing a big tasting together at the Wine Conservatory in April. And Mark said, Carl, I want a wine. But what we're going to do a Canadian wine aged from 10 to 12 years, side by side with an international trophy. So we're doing that together. And Mark said, one thing, I want a Leaning Post wine on that lineup. So I reached out to Ilya, and Ilya digged out a 2012 Laurie Vineyard Pinot Noir out of his library for that specific tasting that we're going to do at the VC in Toronto in April. So do you had a chance to taste that wine prior, or 12 Lowry?
Oh yeah, I have some.
You have some?
Yeah, I do. I have every single one of the Lowry Pinots that he's made.
That's freaking awesome. That I can't wait. So we have 3 bottles going to go straight to, and there's one coming over here in Summerland, so I can do a write up on it before the tasting.
Let me know if it's any good. If it's no good, I have a backup.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so that was just a side conversation here. Let's get back. So you worked for 7 years with Ilya, and at some point the phone rang, and Jeff Undermark say, "Hey, pack your stuff. You're coming out west."
Yeah, really. You know, and it's the truth is it's not Ilya's fault. I still love him and Nadia immensely. We saw them over Christmas, but you know, Ilya's the head winemaker. He's always going to be the head winemaker there. It's his business, and
Absolutely.
I don't begrudge him that at all. But I had to move on eventually to get my own thing, and then when the Rust job opening came up, I went for it. You know, it was the same kind of idea, same kind of thing I was used to. So, you know, we single vineyard, you know, ultra premium wine. You know, we're not cutting corners. We have a vision. We're doing the best we can. Excuse me. And you know, it was pretty natural. Yeah. And having known Jeff from Ontario, I know Jeff's son Grayson, or stepson Grayson, and we went to school together. So it was pretty, you know, we were familiar with each other. It was pretty natural.
That's awesome. So, so now you're running Rust. You're down there in Oliver and working on this fantastic single vineyard. Let's focus a little bit on what we have here, because I mean, last time we did that was with the 2018 vintage that we had, and the Okanagan Falls vineyard was not included back then. I think the first of OK Falls was in 2019 vintage.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we have 4 of these single vineyards, single varietal. I believe the winemaking from these 4 sites are fairly similar. Pretty much.
Fairly.
I love the little wink here. Kind of. Okay, kind of. So what I want to focus on right here is why each of these sites are so specific, and what can we expect? What can our wine lovers here can expect when they crack that open in a couple of years from now? So let's start with my big surprise here, but not big surprise, because we know the Similkameen Valley. The Similkameen has so much potential. That rugged terroir, these hot days, cooler night, windy, beat up the grapes. And anyway, so let's start with the Similkameen. How many acres of vineyard that you guys have down there?
Yeah, for Boucherie, we take from the whole vineyard. It's about 75 acres there.
Okay.
There's just about everything under the sun planted there, which is very, very helpful for you know, availability of different varieties. The Syrah specifically, you're right. You know, it's kind of a wild hinterland of grape growing. It's hotter and colder than the Okanagan Valley. You get this huge diurnal shift in temperature. It's actually the vineyard itself is in a bit of a shadow of the mountain. So when the sun, you know, all of these wines, the most important thing to kind of consider is where the sun is at a given time of day. So if we have the Similkameen, for example, you know, sun rises in the east, sets in the west. You get that. If it's on the west side of the valley, we have eastern exposure. So we're going to get that cooler morning sun. And then by the time that it gets to the hottest part of the day, it starts to be in the shadow of the mountains. So that actually provides some relief for the vines. But it also just gets hotter there during the day. So we just end up with a more ripe, full style of Syrah. And it just is what it is. You know, like we could pick earlier, but I don't really see the point in fighting it. You know, it's just kind of, it's both more ripe and less ripe than everything. So the alcohol is the biggest, the fruit probably, you know, it pops the most, but you also get kind of a more savory aspect, like the garrigue, you get olives, you get all the, I find the dead giveaway for it is olive tapenade, that wine. It's, you know, if you're tasting them in a lineup, that one just tastes like olives to me.
Yeah, to me, yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking about a vineyard plant. The clone was planted in 2002, southwest facing, 420 meters. So we're looking at a fairly high altitude here to keep the good breeze going. But yeah, this is to me like in terms of alcohol, right? A little hotter than the others, like 14.8. So now we're talking the big boy Syrah. But the big difference to me, that savoriness. Yes, fruit forward savoriness and the minerality. There is that you mentioned the garrigue, right? And to me, like a little bit like charcoal finish as well. So that nice minerality with that round upfront fruit at the very beginning. So much more approachable, big boy, dense, concentrated. So this is truly Similkameen in a nutshell. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah,
absolutely. In terms of case production here, for this 2002 vineyard, like we're talking in 2020, like what, 200 cases or something like that?
Yeah, it's usually about 200 to 250 tops.
Yeah.
That vineyard never produces a lot, so it's usually up to 200 cases.
I mean, I was to me there was like it's my highly rated. I had 94 points on this wine. I thought I like right out of the gate, and still after a week. There's two stand out, and that's the Okanangan Valley and the Similkameen. I feel like these two keep their structure the most. So I'm fairly surprised with the Similkameen Valley being hotter, being warmer. I thought we might fall off the cliff a little earlier, but no, it kept all of its structure. Are you surprised of that?
No.
No, there you go. Boom.
Yeah, no, it's I think that wine has longer legs than you would give it generally for having as much alcohol as it has. You know, a lot of those big boozy wines you end up with, you know, in 5 years, it's just alcohol and that's it. You know, the fruit's fallen off, it's gone, and then it just has this burn as it goes down. You know, they're not a lot of fun. You know, I've said often, I think my biggest pet peeve in British Columbia in general is 15% alcohol Merlot. Like it just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to drink those wines. Maybe you do right away, like as fresh as possible. But in like 3 years, all you're tasting is alcohol and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up with a headache every time I have a glass of wine.
Not the purpose, that's for sure.
Yeah, so with sunshine, you get a certain amount of phenolic ripeness, so just flavor ripeness and a certain amount of intensity. And so, your two favorite wines are the hottest sites that we have.
There you go. And they both are the two highest rated. I mean, the Oki Valley, to me, had it's a little closer right now. I feel like it needs a little bit more time before completely opening up. One of my I've always been a big fan of the sandy soil of the Black Sage Bench. So now let's move on to this one. So you're on the Ferreira vineyard on the Black Sage Bench. So across the valley, basically from the Golden Miles, where the home vineyard is. Correct?
That's right. Yep. Just northeast of us. Yep.
Okay. And so what's special? What is special from the Black Sage Bench versus whatever you have around? I mean, I would say the sandy soil. Not sure if Ferreira is exactly where the big beach of the Black Sage Bench, but
yeah, it's a little further up from the beach. It's kind of it's up the bench a little bit.
Okay.
We really wanted to showcase the different terroir in the valley. So that means taking from the most primo spots possible for Syrah. So that means Black Sage, Golden Mile, Okanagan Falls, and in the Similkameen Valley to really showcase how unique it is. And it really shows it's a riper style. The fruit is fuller, but we picked it a little bit earlier. So instead of with the Similkameen, we're just waiting for phenolic ripeness, and that just happens to come with more sugar. The Black Sage Bench, it has so much sunshine. It has so much of that warm afternoon sunshine that I was talking about earlier that you end up with.
And it's west facing, right? This one is west facing. So boom.
You're getting that big sunshine, that big ripeness. But what I found, with this Syrah project over the years is that, in the valley in general, we get skin ripeness on grapes quite early. So a lot earlier than I think historically people assumed. So we're ending up with really pretty wines, more flavor at about 13.5% alcohol. And that's kind of where the rest of those wines fall, between 13.5 and 14. I think it's a bit of a happy spot for Syrah for British Columbia. I've had really good Syrahs from other climates at 12.5%.
But you work in Central Otago. I mean, like Central Otago is known for these beautiful finesse Syrah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I was there was just one or two of them that they that were available, and they were really pretty. But they were, it's that long day. It's so far south. You get long days, so a lot of radiation, a lot of UV light. That's really going to ripen those skins at a lower alcohol concentration. And because we're so far north, it's similar.
Yeah. So that, to me, that Black Sage bench has a very unique character. Definitely darker fruit. You're on dark fruit a little bit, like almost a coffee grind as well. That torrefaction, long spicy finish. To me, that's the classic Black Sage bench. It's that very long spicy finish. I get that all day long with this wine. And to my impression, I have a feeling that this one might age longer than any of these wines.
Yeah, it could very well do so. Yeah, my money's on the Golden Mile.
That's okay.
Yeah,
all right, go.
Mostly because of it's such a refined wine. It's like you said, it's easier to drink. It's really available now. I find for me, it's one of the most aromatic of the four. Almost like it has Viognier in it, and it just doesn't. This vintage was the first one where we started introducing whole cluster. So with most of the wines, it's about 25%. The Okanagan Falls one is a little more because we'll talk about it later, but I found the tannin. So we're finding a little bit more refinement, a little bit more aromatics, and a really, really pretty wine that in 10 years from now, those tannins are just going to melt into it, and it'll just be a very aromatic, pretty wine.
Yeah, I get some herbaceousness as well. And let's talk about the sites, because this one, I mean, this is the home site. So it's home for us. You guys have on that those Syrah, Gamay, Gewürztraminer as well. And so this is a very, very, very special and unique, beautiful spot for the winery.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. We have a few different varieties there, kind of showcased in Solus. So that was offered as part of this as well. But it's a co-fermentation of all the different varieties we have at Russ. So
I'm keeping Solus for the dessert. Solus for the dessert.
Yeah, cool. So anyways, it's a pretty awesome spot. Really great sunshine. We're the southernmost site on the Golden Mile bench. So it's a little bit warmer than a few of the spots, but we do have some nice elevation there. We are east facing again, so we have that cooler morning sun. And then by the time it's really roasting, the sun's kind of gone past the mountains.
I think the mountain plays a critical role on the growing aspect of where you guys are located, because you almost like at the foot of that little mountain, like you are right there. It's used as a shadow, so I believe that there's a critical role there.
Yeah, I think being nestled right up against the mountain like we are, it offers a little bit of protection from that sun, because we are in a hot, cool climate. So we obviously get the cold temperatures of the winter, but we get the real warm summers, and we end up with very ripe wines. And I think it takes a bit of a very considered approach to make the wines and make them pretty.
Yeah. And again, like that's what I think it's Sorry, we have a pretty intense hat conversation on the chat here. We have our crew of members from Ontario who know you from Leaning Post. They all wanted a hat, so that's why I reached out to Caitlin and to Emily and said, "Guys, I need some hats."
Yeah.
They're like, "What?"
That's cool. We got them.
And so, yeah, I was mentioning about the Golden Mile. So with the from where you're at, okay, you're from Ontario. I wanted to touch that point with you before we. So the sub appellation was such an important movement in Ontario, where you guys subdivided much more than what we've done here in BC over the years. Now we're seeing progression in BC. We saw what happened with Kelowna, with Summerland, and all that. So with the Golden Mile, so you got the Golden Mile bench, the Golden Mile slope. So both now have been split. What does these sub-appellation do for a guy like you? Like, is there something that you like to work with, or it gives you too many parameter, or you like to feel more free? What's your vision about that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think occasionally, as New World wineries, we put the cart before the horse. So I think we're doing our best to replicate a more European aspect to our wine production. So be that Germany, France, Italy, we're choosing the places probably before we've had the opportunity to figure out what the difference is. In this instance, I believe we have enough space between the sites that the terroir is speaking for itself. So we have Similkameen way over in another valley. We have two far opposite sides of the valley. We have nothing in the valley floor, where it's going to be pretty universal sunlight and change. We could have that for a difference, show you what that one does. But if when it comes to, right here in the middle, in the ditch there, and then a little bit up this side and a little bit up that side, then, I would question how useful that is to people. Separately, we have Okanagan Falls, which is way further north than these places, has higher elevation and a south-facing slope. So it's so much different than the other ones we have. East-facing, west-facing, Similkameen. We have south-facing elevation, cooler site. So we have some very, very, very distinctive places that makes it, I won't say easier, but it allows us to show the differences between the sites a little with a little less marketing jargon.
That's
like
true.
we can talk about those places, talk about how they're different. When it comes to various different appellations in the Similkameen, or not Similkameen, in Summerland, or various different, let's choose Summerland specifically. We have, 3 separate appellations in a very tiny little, there's not that many wineries there. So I question how useful that is on a label to a consumer. Maybe
and it's
I'm
a good
wrong.
point, because that was my first thing when I saw that coming out. I was excited to see the evolution, and it came mostly about Summerland, one of the smallest little hamlet and the smallest amount of wineries, and split in 3. It was like, how useful is that?
Maybe time will prove me wrong. What do I know? I don't make wine, or we don't grow grapes in Summerland, but and don't get me wrong, Summerland is lovely, but I don't feel like, I think it's just a little too much too soon.
Yeah. So it's speaking about like the uniqueness of the site. I mean, and the most unique of all here, it's the Okanagan Falls Syrah, that number 4. I mean, when you have the privilege to do what I've done, opening them all at the same time. And I suggest our people, if you can do that at a party, you host people at home, do it that way, open them all up. And just tasting the difference side by side is amazing. And when you get to the Okanagan Falls, I mean, you can't miss it. You get the color is different, the nose is different, the intensity is different because it's the lightest. There's the one with the most finesse and the most elegance. I mean, that's the one who kind of got me a little bit to the Northern Rhone in a sense that because it's a lower alcohol, it's not as powerful and rich as the one from the south. There's something really unique with the Okanagan Falls. So, and I mean, you describe it with the sites as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very different site. It's by far the coolest site. They're by far the youngest vines. And it is by far the most challenging of the three to work with. And that is just mostly in figuring the spot out. And so over, I've done 5 vintages of it now. I think it's really just starting to come into its own. It just takes time. The first year, the first wine we made from it was rosé, because it was like first crop. It's just not going to be what we want it to be, so we'll just make rosé. So we made rosé, and then we started making red wine, and it was just like, okay, how does this work out? What do we do here? What? So we made the first wine in 19, and it was like, okay, it's a little bit more rustic than I'd like. So it was like, all right, whole cluster. So we started using whole cluster in the wines instead of destemming completely.
Okay.
And then you start to see the wine get prettier and prettier and prettier. And I think that's why, it's never going to be that blockbuster Black Sage or Similkameen wine. But let's lean in, let's figure out how to make that wine pretty, how to make it its own thing. But, me and those grapes are maturing together. So it's this process of figuring out how to show them best. And it just takes time.
It's the evolution of the hands and the grapes, like who handle the grapes. So you're evolving at the same times that the vines are growing. So it's a pretty unique relationship there.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, and this wine you mentioned a couple times, it's pretty. It's the feminine, it's the elegance. I see this wine having its unique personality completely, like for the next 15 years, completely being like the side of the 4, because like it's really, really, really different. And the side speaks for itself. And I think that the Chardonnays from the same sites as well.
Yeah.
And that's what. And the first time you used the wild ferment for your Chardonnay, I believe, for the first time, right?
Yeah. I cultivate a yeast from the Goo grapes at Rust. I get some early pressed Chardonnay juice. I get some of the grapes from the vineyard at Rust. I pop them into the juice and I bring them to my office. I put a silicone glove over the opening, and so I know it's ready when the glove inflates on the top. That means that we've got a nice rolling ferment. It's called a Pied de Cuve. Taste the Pied de Cuve when I know it's smelling good and it's really rocking. Chuck it in the Chardonnay, and off it goes naturally. We don't have to add any cultivated yeast, and bing, bang, boom, you have Chardonnay.
It's funny because we the week before we tasted, it's Clone 76, it's wild ferment. There's a nice minerality from the site. And the week before we had the single vineyard, boutique vineyard from Vineland Estates, from the same clone, 100% Clone 76, wild ferment. And Mira and I were like, okay, here's the Okanagan version of the boutique. And there was some similarity here, obviously. Okay, you're using 40% new oak in there. There's obviously stylistic difference, but there were some connection there. It was really, really fun to do it like 1 week after each other. I really enjoyed that Chardonnay. There's a bright lemon surrounded by that beautiful oak profile and the minerality. This is so Okanagan Falls.
Yeah. You still get sunshine here. It doesn't matter where you are. It's lots of sunshine.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about Solus. We have to. I know you're like, I mean, you have young kids. I know I have to let you go. Your poor wife can't do dinner on her own.
That's okay. It's done.
It's done. You guys are, you're much better than we are. On Wednesday, they have a snack and dinner after the live. Solus. I mean, I got a couple of questions this week. Say, Carl, why $88 for a bottle of wine? And I'm like, and my answer is, to me, when we go to the top premium category, everything starts with the texture.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have richness and softness in the texture. That doesn't mean the tannins are freaking right there. I mean, this is a big boy, but there's just at the core of this wine, there's a soft and creamy texture all the way through. Super nice complexity. Almost like, I would say a third of Zinfandel, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a little bit of goo.
With the splash of goo, and everything co-fermented all together.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Go ahead.
It's a fun wine. So it starts life out as Gewürztraminer, as a white wine. So we bring in the goo. We do it carbonic maceration. So all the grapes get put in a bin, whole cluster. I throw in some of my Chardonnay wild culture and a bunch of carbon dioxide, put the lid on, wrap it in plastic wrap, and then we forget about it for a couple of weeks. After that 2-week period, take the lid off, stick our heads in it, clear the sinuses of the CO2, and you have this wonderful, beautifully aromatic, bubblegummy Gewürztraminer that gets pressed off into a tank. We add on top the Merlot and then the Zinfandel and the Cabernet Sauvignon as they get ripe. It all ferments together. Then it lays down in barrel for over 2 years.
Yeah.
So when you're paying for it, you're paying for beautiful French oak barrels that each of them costs about 1,600 euros each. You're paying for time. You're paying for the extra attention it gets. And you're paying for a wine that will age. So this wine, you can drink it now if you want, but it's really, really, really built more like a Bordeaux wine. So if you ever get Bordeaux Futures, you buy that wine, you bring it home, they're selling the 18s now, 19s.
Yep. I think they're on the 18 right now in the Future.
Yeah. So you're getting those young wines, and you can drink them now if you want. By all means, decant it. Specifically Solus, put it in a decanter for a couple hours. But really, if you're paying for that kind of money, that wine has got to age at least 10, 15 years. And if it doesn't, then I've done you a disservice, and then it's just marketing garbage. So the whole point of that wine is to have something that, you can lay down. Maybe you have a birth in the family, some hallmark, some big deal. You're putting that wine down for later, and it's going to show well. It's not going to be a big booze bomb by the time that you get to it. It's really it's a slow burn, and I've seen some people that have reviewed it, and they tend to get it. It's drink it now if you want, but forget about it for 10 years, and you won't regret it.
I mean, $88 in 10 years will feel like a freaking deal.
Yeah.
Especially, exactly. I know. And I can see that's what I put in my tasting notes. It's a 12 years to me lifespan. Easy, without even blinking. This is super, it's really, really intriguing. And I'm glad that we decided on the late to include that because this is one of the most intriguing wine of the year. Really, really, really cool. And so Zinfandel won't be too much featured in the future, I believe. I don't think that is there any vine survive with the Zinfandel? How's the
so we have 3 more vintages of Zinfandel to come. And it got through the freeze out last winter with, relatively flying colors considering. We actually did get a 2023 crop. So that's exciting. We'll see what happens this year. It's the elephant in the room. We have to talk about this awful cold snap that we had. And we won't know until it warms up.
Yeah.
We've gone around, we've done our bud sampling. We're optimistic that we will have good green growth. There won't be a lot of fruit this year, but we're hoping that we have something for next year.
There you go, Ryan. Thank you so much, man. I greatly appreciate your time, taking the time to dig deeper into that whole process of single vineyard, single varietal. Mira's just popping up here on the screen.
I'm coming back. I don't know if you answered Vicky's question about the Solus being the only carbonic maceration wine. Did you?
Yeah, I can see the question.
I think you have the Cap Franc as well as carbonic, right?
We play with it a lot, but more in the more usually just in Gamay and Franc. So the idea with the Franc, when first time we made it, first few years actually, it's this kind of broad, more Bordelais style wine. But really what we wanted to do is make something more like the Loire, more like Chinon. So you get that beautiful, pretty, more crushable profile, which is kind of that line of wines. There are crushable series of wines. So we felt
and it really stand out. Sorry, because we did our Cabernet Franc marathon late in September, and that Cab Franc was standing out in terms of it was the easiest to drink of all, like of the 50 we had.
Yeah.
That Ross Cab Franc was just like a bag of candy. It was wow.
That's the hope. I want it. Drink it now. It won't live 10 years. 3 to 5 year wine. Just do it. Drink it. It's just fun. It doesn't have to be. Every wine doesn't have to be a Solus. Every wine doesn't have to be, this long-aged wine of contemplation. I want to crush some wine with a burger on a Tuesday. So that's what that style of winemaking gives you. With the Gamay, it's the same. We're not making wine to age forever. It's not expensive. Put it in the fridge for 30 minutes before you're going to drink it and crush it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's just
Vicky was asking also earlier during the show, Ryan. She still has the vertical from the 2018 vintage.
Yeah, awesome.
And she's asking. She's asking about the difference between the 18 and the 20.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your what would be your assessment between the stylistically, if there's a major difference between 18 and 20?
Yeah, so 18 was a lot of sunshine. It was a hot year. There was some smoke in the valley as well. I don't find the wines have some smoky character. I did the barrel selection for that wine, but not the winemaking. I think you'll find that the Ferrera will last the longest of those wines. They're a little bit bigger in style than we make now. So I think you'll find the 20s to be a little bit more concentrated actually, but a little bit lighter in body.
There you go. That's a good one. And when I remember, and it's a question that I had, because I know 18, 21 or 2 vintage would always need to be worried about the smoke. When I did my full tasting notes on the 18, I had not one of the 3 had any smoke characteristic. So, but sometimes it pops up later on. But we'll see. So far, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and with 21, we were just really careful with what was released. So for 21, for example, there's just 2 Syrahs. So there's a Golden Mile and there's an Okanagan Fall. Or no, sorry, there's no Okanagan, and a Similkameen.
Okay, Golden Mile and Similkameen for 21.
Yeah, so the Black Sage Bench and the OK Falls wines were smoky. So they got treated and went somewhere else. They're not in rust wines.
There you go. And for 22 vintage, are you back with the full slate of 4?
Yeah, we'll have 3 in 22.
Okay.
So the Ferrera one is gone from 22.
Okay.
And then we have Similkameen, Okanagan Falls, and Golden Mile.
So
There you go.
basically, the 20 is the last one that we know of for now. That would be all 4.
Yes. Yeah, and it will be the last one. Absolutely. That's all
Wow.
4. Because
Oh,
the Similkameen Syrah we pulled out last year, it died in the winter of 22-23.
Oh, okay.
And so did the Syrah at Golden Mile.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Yeah, so the only one that's currently hopefully alive is the Okanagan Falls site.
Wow, and that's the younger vines, correct?
Those are I think their precocity saved them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would be great if it's the case.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, we feel so privileged and so grateful that you guys saved some cases of these wines for us. I know they're sold out at the winery.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the last chance to get all 4 of these amazing Syrahs to taste side by side at some point.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Thank you. And we got some hats. And we got some hats.
Yes, the hats. So they have been added to the order form. Mike's got his. I'll send a note to people that already ordered if they want to add this on.
Ryan, well, Mira, do you have anything else for Ryan? We might let him go. I told him half an hour, but I think by now they all know that when Carl say half an hour, it never works. So
maybe closer
that's
to
okay.
an hour.
I'm relaxed.
Okay.
I'm not wrangling children right now, so
Well,
we can go for as long as you like.
That's awesome. We're so grateful. It's been super interesting listening, and we really appreciate the time.
Well, it's a pleasure.
And Ryan, in the weekend
for you, Robbie here has a compliment. Where did he say? Robbie 100 Marks stopped by, and he was complimenting your mustache.
Yeah, Robbie has a very beautiful mustache, so he would be the man tonight.
Come on, Robbie's the gold standard for mustache around here. Come on,
man with a beautiful mustache.
Here he is. He says, "Absolutely glorious stash, like everything coming out of Rust." There you go.
It's kind of him to say. Yeah, he's a good boy, that Robbie.
Yeah. He's asking anything exciting coming. So that's a question from Robbie.
Yeah. So we've got a new Riesling coming out in the spring. New Gamay was blended today. Actually, there's some beautiful wines coming in our spring release. So they're actually, we've been sitting on it for a while. I would be remiss not to mention the loss of our general manager, Kane Morgan.
Oh my God!
He was killed driving home from work in December by a drunk driver. So the way that I can show how I feel about Kane, hopefully will be released in that pack as well. So we'll have me and him. Really, we pulled aside a couple barrels of the Cabernet Sauvignon from 2020. We made a little bit of it separately from Solus, and he wanted to release that wine more than anything. So we bottled it, and then we spoke about it, and he didn't feel like it was quite ready to come out. So we're trying to honor his legacy that way, and so when it is time for that wine, we will release it and honor his memory that way.
Yeah, it was a crushing. I know that, like, we're kind of far and removed, but we're still in the industry, and we were in connection with Kane quite often. And I mean, when this news came out, I mean, we're all the same age, right? And we all have young family, and he's a Summerlin guy, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think I don't want to bring down the mood, but I just wanted everybody to know how important
definitely
he was to us, and how he will continue to be.
Absolutely, thanks for that. And hey, okay, June 15th, it's the Pan Canadian Masterclass 2.0, the BC edition. So last year we brought Canada to Niagara-on-the-Lake at Bellaterra. This year we're taking it to Oliver. Hester Creek are going to be our hosts. And like, we have journalists from Wine Enthusiast. I mean, we have, like, there's going to be 90 taster. We have a bunch of traveling winemakers from Ontario. Your buddy Elia is coming over. He's going to come and spend the whole weekend. So I wanted to say, how about we'll make a point to make it could do a pit stop at Rost, not only with our traveling winemakers, but also with some of our members who are traveling. I would like to take everyone to your beautiful little spot and do maybe a special tasting with you.
Yep, sounds great. I'll be there.
Hi, thank you very much, Ryan. You've been generous of your time. You've been generous of your skills. Thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll sell some hats.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck. Good luck against Jeff 100 Mark tomorrow.
Good luck for tomorrow.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Kick some ass.
Coming up soon. Yeah.
Pardon me?
It's not tomorrow, is it? No.
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
It's tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I have this mustache. It's ridiculous.
Right. It's glorious, as Robbie says. It's glorious. So
thank you. It's very
I hope you have a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.
Cheers.
Take care, my friend. Thanks a million. There you go.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I just love his passion. It's incredible.
No, absolutely. I mean, when you look at his background and with who he grew in the industry, and it's all people like working with Ilya, working with Jeff, and like his environment has always been filled with super passionate people. And you cannot be in this business without be passionate to start with, right? So, that's really generous of sharing all of these information about these single vineyards. And I knew, I had that feeling that it was the last time for the 4 together, but I never had the
completely sure. So that's good to know.
For people who are listening right now and you're wondering, this is the last time. These are not going to come back 4 together. And and also 2020 was a darn good vintage. Clean of smoke. There's no smoke at all. Long and warm vintage. So when we talk quality, especially for Syrah, 19 was a fantastic vintage. I like that vintage personally because it was a cooler vintage. But when we're talking about quality of Syrah, 20, you can do better than 2020, what 20 had to offer. So the Similkameen Lazy River Vineyard Syrah, 94 points. At the opposite of the style, the Okanangan Falls Lost Horn Vineyard, 93 points. The Golden Miles, it's the South Rock Vineyard, 93 points, or 92 plus points. And the Black Sage Bench, the Okanagan Valley from the Black Sage Bench Ferreira Vineyard, 92 to 94 points. I give it an open score for this one because at this stage, it's the one with the little closest. There's a little close. But I think that in the long run is the one with the most aging potential. And I think we're talking with Ryan, and Ryan totally agree with my assessment there. This one's going to age for 10 years, and that it's going to start opening up in 6-7 years. But the potential of that Black Sage Bench, tremendous. So 94, 94, 93, 92 plus. That's our 4 Syrahs.
Stacked.
That's Solus. 92 points. I know that our friend John Schreiner, one of the most decorated wine writer here in BC, gave it a 94 points. John absolutely lost his banana on that wine. And so that's pretty cool. Co-fermented Gewurz, Zinfandel, Merlot, Cap Sauv. So another killer wine.
I have it here a week after opening, and it's glorious. So.
Oh yeah. This wine is absolutely rocking the show right now. It's pretty freaking special. So, so that's our Ross. And the Chardonnay. Nothing under 90 points this week.
Interesting what he talked about with the way they made it, right? That they kind of pre-oxidized it, so it does last quite a long time. Very interesting. Okay, we have to touch on one thing before we run, which is we started just blabbing away about Toronto and Niagara and all this kind of stuff. And people are like, what's this? Toronto, Niagara, we're coming. So yes, we booked our flights. It's the week of April 21st. So this 21st is the Sunday. We're speaking at the Craft Wineries Conference. It's kind of fun. So they have us in there chatting with wineries. And on the Thursday of that week, hat costs $37.95, including tax, Daryl. Hat costs are like more than the last time I bought a hat, but way less than NFL labeled hats. I'm finding they're like way more now these days.
There's no problem.
What's wrong
with
that? We have
a problem.
Jeez.
There's a problem.
I think Daryl's thinking ahead of when Vicky and Daryl and Mike get together to taste and Jen and Al and Sandy get together to taste these 4 Syrahs side by side. It sounds like that might be happening at some point in the coming years in this group. And I think they all need rust hats because that would make the best kind of photo op, I believe. So he's just budgeting for that at some point. And it's diamond encrusted. You're right, with the gold plated buckle at the back and everything, right? So
I mean, Mira, I don't know why you're talking about NFL branded hat. It's like we haven't bought NFL branded hat in a couple months. I mean,
well, exactly. That's why, because I went and looked at the price and it was like, I don't know, $80 for a hat. I'm like,
no, come on.
We'll get you a rust hat, okay? But I'm not getting you a regular hat. Can't imagine what would have happened if they'd won the game in the finals there. But the price of the hats would double overnight. I mean,
that's the price. That's the cost of doing business here.
Right. Yeah.
I ran out of Solus. We ran out of Solus. That's the bad news. I hope that you're securing what's in your glass right now, because it's like the last of the Golden Miles or the last of the Similkameen. You need to enjoy what you have. It's the last of the bottle of Solus. Okay? It lasts a week. And I wonder why. All of these other wines, they all have wines in it, but this one is empty.
You can always tell which one's my favorite because of that issue. Anyways, let's recap really, really fast, because you know more than me on this, Carl. What's happening the week that we're there in Niagara? So basically, we're going to do a bunch of winery touring.
Well, a bunch. So we're gonna do lunch. Okay, the Monday we're gonna do lunch at Vineyard Estate because. Yes, Vicky, you're right. You're absolutely right, Vicky. My mom and my stepdad are absolutely amazed that they're big fan of Vineyard Estate and what Brian Schmidt are doing. So the goal, because my parents are going to come all the way from Quebec. Oui, Calice, ben oui, de Québec, ils vont venir all the way to Niagara to help us with the kids, because we're going to be busy doing business with all of you guys. So we're going to take my parents for lunch. It's a surprise, or not. We're going to take my parents to lunch at Vineland Estate. So on Monday, Vineland, and after that, we might plan to go to Stratus because it's going to be Earth Day. And for Earth Day, they're releasing a 100% recycled bottle, something.
It's the first of its kind, apparently, potentially in all of Canada or something along those lines. Very exciting. So anyway, we'll be there to taste that, possibly do a quick little live to talk about it. So that's the big plan for the Monday.
Yeah, Tuesday, there's no plan. We have to take care of children's. But Wednesday, because the week of that week, we're going to do a feature on Stonebridge and Lely Vineyard, and we're planning, if Thomas Reed is listening, Thomas, we're coming to your winery. We're going to run the live. Carl's Wine Club Wine Wednesday is going to be broadcast live from Stonebridge. He doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
But.
And we were thinking, I mean, if members are there on the Wednesday night, we could do like a Wine Wednesday live where you can actually taste the wines we're talking about with us and watching the show live.
Yeah, while tasting.
Have it on all our socials.
So what I'm thinking though, but prior to the live at 5 o'clock, maybe we should all meet at 4 o'clock at Stonebridge. Maybe we do an afternoon happy hour at Bellaterra, because there's no trip to Niagara without having a stop at Bellaterra. This ain't gonna happen. Ain't happening. So I'm thinking, because of the proximity, maybe we should do a afternoon happy hour with Lou, Fred, and Marcel at Bellaterra, and we transferred the crew from Bellaterra to Stonebridge. That will be one of my idea. So that's for the Wednesday. On the Thursday, we are sorry, you had something.
Toronto. We're going to Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto tasting at the Vintage Conservatory at the VC in Toronto. We're not sure if we're doing the one on King Street or the one in Yorkville. Either of the two Vintage Conservatory. It's going to be a epic tasting. We are collaborating right now with l'Académie du Vin and Marc Nadeau to put a one-of-a-kind tasting where we're going to have 10 flights of wine, where an international icon will be served side by side with one of our back vintage Canadian rock star. Let me give you an example. 2006 Stratus White will be served side by side with a white Bordeaux, maybe Chateaubriand white Bordeaux, something like that. A 2014 Cave Spring Riesling will be served side by side with probably either an Alsatian Riesling or a German Riesling from an older vintage. Something like a back vintage Batchelder will be served side by side with a Chardonnay from Burgundy. We have confirmed a 2012 Legado da Silva Legado Merlot will be served side by side with another older vintage, maybe a Super Tuscan from Sassicaia, something like that. We have confirmed the 2015 Riverstone Milestone, the wine of the year at Carl's Wine Club, will be served side by side, maybe with Cheval Blanc, maybe. So we have all of these iconic Canadian 10-year-old wines that that's going to be served side by side with an international icon. Working with Benjamin Bridge in Nova Scotia right now to feature their 2011 Underwater Quest. They made a 500 bottles test back from the 2011 vintage, where they aged the wine for 2 years at 500 meters under the ocean, on the ocean bed offshore of Nova Scotia. So that might be certain. So anyway, a wine from Stephen Spurrier home farm in Great Britain. So in the country of London. Before passing, Stephen Spurrier had a farm with his wife, and he was growing Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, making some champagne method sparkling. So Mark is working on to get some of these wines to bring back. So anyway, a very special and epic tasting that we're putting together for the first time, the first collaboration between l'Académie du Vin, the Vintage Conservatory, and Carl's Wine Club. So pretty darn exciting.
It's really cool. I mean, we didn't even know until we did the Pan-Canadian last year that the Vintage Conservatories exist, which is essentially a private wine club where they do all kinds of crazy wine things, and you can store your wine there, and it's pretty exciting. So hopefully we'll find some wine lovers that really are on our wavelengths, but they're not familiar with Canadian wine. Perhaps they don't think that Canadian wine is at a world-class level, and perhaps we will change some perceptions with this tasting.
There you go. So that's the event on the Thursday, and we're flying back home on a Friday night. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an epic week. So if anyone is around Niagara or Toronto that week, let's touch base. We would love to have you stop by with us wherever we're at, wherever it's convenient for you. And if not, you'll see us live at least a couple times that week.
Yeah, I have a feeling that, we will be live a few times. So that's for sure.
It'll be fun.
So, I mean, that's what's coming up. June 15, obviously. Daryl is asking about Batchelder. So Batchelder's feature is coming soon. It's coming the last week of March, I believe, or early April. Some of the two. So we're looking in the next 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, Daryl. That's coming soon. We have the wine, our number 4 wine of the year will be part of that. The Grimsby Hillside, what was that parcel? Anyway, single parcel. That's going to be part of that. I'm gonna start digging into the Pinot Noir lineup as well. There also, stay tuned. We'll have some pretty spectacular release from Batchelder coming up in 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah. Yeah, but in the meantime, it's Rust. It's Rust Week. We have not only a very exclusive pack, but almost, I would like to say, a historical pack, in a sense that, I mean, these 4 bottles are never going to be available from any other vintage, the 4 together. It's the last time, and we have the last allocation of all, because the only one who's still available on their website is the Okanagan Valley. For the rest, they're all sold out. And yeah, we're the only one to have some available. So get yours. It ends on Friday.
Sunday night.
Is it?
Yep, Sunday night. And we do have the hats on there. If you've already ordered, just send us a quick note and I'll send you the details on that. If you're curious, I will try to email everyone that ordered tomorrow as well. Just don't want someone missing out on a hat, and a fun opportunity to wear the hat at some point in the deep future when you decide to crack these babies open. So
yeah, no one wants to miss out on the hat, that's for sure. And it's so funny because I just thought of taking a picture. I just put the hat beside the bottle when I took a shot at the winery last week.
Yeah, you did.
And
that's how it all started. So thanks.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think, thanks to Ryan de Witte. Amazing to have him live with us chatting Syrahs. Sometimes what we recap of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and to have the chance to reflect and see how special to have these 4 bottles of wine, to offer them not only to BC people, but to people across the country. This is pretty darn special. It is really, 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 really special. So, and guess what? These 4 wines are still rocking after 7 weeks being open. That says
7 days. 7 days, not 7 weeks.
Whoa, sorry, 7 days. 7 days. Sorry.
No,
that's the solace. The solace is hitting me.
Daryl's in for the hat. Daryl, you won't regret that. Brilliant hat. You and Mike can have a twin photo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to see that hat all over our social media.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mira, did you tell everyone which one is your favorite? Do you have a special? Do you have a favorite in all of the?
I would say Similkameen and Golden Mile. Similkameen probably my top.
There you go.
There you go.
So Mira likes the 2 with more than 14%. So she got the 14 and the 14.8 and the 14.3. That's my girl. I love it. So
Sandy has started making Madeleines, lemon, orange, and maple. So start the car. We're coming. Can't wait till April now.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Exactly. You sure, guys, you don't want to come over here for June as well for the Pan Canadian? No, funny story. Funny story. You guys need to listen to that. Last night, I'm sending, yesterday afternoon. Okay, I'm sending text messenger to people in BC to say, hey, it's the Pan Canadian. Reserve your ticket soon. And I came across a couple from Calgary that we know from when we moved here, and they came, and we know that they're big wine people. And I said, guess what? I'm going to text them. Hey, by the way, did you know that we're doing the Pan Canadian here in BC? Here is the lineup. 5 minutes later, we heard, yeah, we're coming. Bought the ticket.
and they're gonna come out from Calgary, so it's pretty awesome.
That was a good one.
We have someone coming down from Oregon with wine enthusiasts. We have
a bunch of people from the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, quite a few. So it's going to be quite the epic weekend. And we found out, we recently met with Kimberly Hundertmark, who runs the Okanagan wine festivals, and they have sort of a set of events happening throughout June all over the valley. So it's a good weekend to be down here. Lots of things will be going on.
And meeting with Daniel Bonterin tomorrow. Daniel Bonterin is the rosé master who makes the very famous Tractor and Vines Pinot Noir rosé, but also the Fruitvale Ridge Cabernet Franc rosé. Daniel has 9 vintage of the Cab Franc rosé sitting in his warehouse, and he's saying that we would like to do maybe a vertical of Cab Franc rosé during that weekend. Just saying. So there's some very cool stuff happening, like all around the Pan Canadian. So yeah, it's going to be epic. Okay.
Always is when we get together, though. So we'll catch you guys at some point this year. Very exciting, and hope you're all well, enjoying your Wine Wednesday. We really better go. And I hope you have an amazing night.
Okay, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, all of you across the country, see you next time.
Cheers.